All right, guys, so welcome back to my channel. So it's been about 6, 7 months since I bought my 4.6K Pro Ursa G2. And when I first bought this camera, I was like, you know what, all I need is a battery. I'm just going to use the flip out screen. And guess what? Here we are with this whole rig setup of all these accessories. So it didn't quite go as I planned. So on this video, I'm going to go over my rig build and I'm going to talk about some of the things that I hated, some of the things I'm really glad I bought. So let's get right into this video. When you buy the Ursa G2, it comes pretty bare bones. Um, so on here right now, I have a side plate, and I'm going to talk a little bit about that later. But the first thing you have to figure out is your battery solution. So it doesn't come with this V-mount adapter. You do have to purchase it separately. So it only costs about $100, so you can choose to either go with the V-mount or the gold mount. I went with the V-mount because at the time I already had a couple V-mount batteries, so I just kind of wanted to keep everything consistent. So for the battery, I decided to go with these affordable batteries from Electric. So I actually have these in the 190 and the 300s. For the 300s, I actually use that to power my VL200, which is basically just like a light from Godox, a 200 watt light. So anyway, this is pretty easy to put on. You literally just screw on 4 screws, and then there's like a electrical component that you just kind of snap into place. So I'll just put that there. So the next big thing that I had to do with this camera is I had to figure out how I was actually going to use it. So I specifically wanted to use this handheld, so likely as a shoulder rig, because once you build this up, it gets pretty heavy. And the next, like, most common way I would use this is on sticks, so with a tripod. So with that being said, I decided to go with the small rig shoulder mount kit. Now, when I first bought this camera, it was on back order, and at the time, this full kit was like $270. And by the time my camera shipped, it was literally discontinued, and the only people who were selling it on eBay, and they were selling it for like $600-700. So it was just kind of hard to justify going from like 200 to 600. So I ended up having to settle for the Black Magic shoulder kit, and I really hate that kit. I'll be honest with you. I really hated it. But I was actually able to buy most of the pieces from the small rig kit just from like random places. So I got this shoulder mount for literally only $30 on eBay. I negotiated. No, this wasn't from eBay. This was actually from Lens Rental. But I got this side plate from eBay, and I actually negotiated the price for this down to like $50. Everyone else was selling it for 100. I really had to hustle my way through this. And then for my top handle, just right here, where did I get this? I think I got this one for like $40, and I think I got this one on eBay as well. So all in all, I was able to get little small pieces here and there just through kind of Googling, just seeing if anything popped up. So with that being said, with this shoulder kit, you are going to have to mount some type of base plate at the bottom, and then this part just screws right on there. Now, what's really crazy about this whole system is that when before I bought this camera, I actually had the Pixis on pre-order, and when I think about it, I'm not really sure why I was excited about that camera, because when the 6K full frame initially came out, I really wasn't excited about it because I was comparing it to my 6K Pro, and I'm just like, the only thing it has is open gate and full frame, and those weren't enough for me to be excited, you know? But I did think, like, looking back on it, I think I just thought it was just really great to see a company listen to its customers and actually give us what we wanted, or what so many people said they wanted, which is a square form factor. So yeah, I mean, I don't know. I guess that was the cool part about it. But when this camera went on sale for literally the same price, it was just a no-brainer. Like everything that the Pixels didn't have, this does have. Um, my only disappointments with this camera is that it doesn't have gyro because it never got that update. I'm pretty sure it's never going to get another update. So, I mean, if you do get this camera, you are kind of limited with that. Uh, all right. Now, speaking of the shoulder mount kit, I'm still using the Black Magic extension arms that I initially got with my Ursa, my Black Magic shoulder mount. So I'm just going to mount those onto the sides. But yeah, I would say aside from this not having gyro or the latest update, um, oh yeah, with the update also, you can't use the T7 shield cards if you're using like an SSD. So for me, I use the Samsung T5 and I already had these from when I had my 6K Pro. Luckily, because this one is this is 2 terabytes and I paid like 100, maybe under 100 for it, and now like 1 terabyte is costing like $300. So um I've just been like reusing. So basically I'll edit right away, and then once I edit, I'll dump it on like my lacy hard drive. So that's how I've been kind of navigating that. I mean, you could do CFast cards, but um, it's just so much quicker and easier just to be able to edit right on your SSD. But anyway, so now with this kit, I'm also using the DJI Focus Pro, and I actually use two motors. So I use the DJI Focus Pro for my focusing, and then on the right side, on the left side, I'm actually using this handle from Tilta. Now this actually comes with the, I think it's like the Tilta focus ring that you can use for your gimbal. Well, this is the handle that comes with it. But you can buy it separately, which is exactly what I did. Now I already had this for my gimbal, so it wasn't something that I had to actually go out and purchase. For this, you are to use it on this rosette mount. I bought this attachment, so it's a rosette, and then it has this NATO rail, just because of how this is set up. So you basically just slide it on, tighten it up. Super simple. So yeah, so when I'm using this with a zoom lens, I use this one to control the zoom. And I'm also using my Nucleus Nano focusing system to be able to do that. And you know, so I went through so many focusing systems. So I started with the Nucleus Nano, but then I decided, you know, I because I was using two cameras, I needed another system. So I brought the Tilta M, which gave me complete hell. Like the motors were just malfunctioning, and I read other reviews where people said they had to return it to Tilta. They had to pay $300 for the shipping, and I was like, no, I'm not doing all of that. And I ended up buying it used. So maybe that was like error number one. But yeah, so I bought it used, and I ended up paying like $700 for the full kit. But then I was thinking about it. I was like, I literally could have just paid $300 more and got the DJI Focus Pro. So I returned that, got the Focus Pro, and that's what I'm using. Let's make sure this doesn't fall. So that's what I'm using now. So this DJI Focus Pro, it comes with a battery. It's a little bit smaller than the one you get with your gimbal. And then this is kind of like the base or the handle that it comes with. So you just plug it in. It doesn't want to go in there. All right. All right, there we go. Now I will say I'm loving this Focus Pro system so far. But I do have a review coming up shortly. So if you're interested in knowing like what I think about it and all of that, make sure you are subscribed to my channel, and I'll definitely post that. All right, so now that I got my handles, I have my base plate. I have a couple of, so initially I already had these longer rods when I had my 6K Pro, but I decided to get these shorter ones for when I'm using my Sigma 18 to 35. But then I bought the cinema lens, so I ended up going back to my longer lens rods. So I'm gonna use these. Now, the only thing that I do hate about this base plate from Small Rig is that it's so hard to kind of grab these knobs because of where these rosette mounts are placed. So that's literally my only complaint. Luckily for me, I have like pretty small fingers. So it's not too much of a problem for me. All right. Over the past year, I bought three main lenses. I purchased the 18 to 35, which is what I'm filming on with my 6K Pro. I purchased a Helios 44-2. Now, I've only done pictures with that. Hadn't really gotten a chance to do much filming with that one. But the main one is my DJI, well, not my DJI, my DZO Film Cata Ace 35 to 80. I really love this lens. And you know what? When I was looking at cinema lenses, like people are always saying like, oh, like the benefits is that it's parfocal. And yeah, it is, like that is a benefit, but even more than that, I think it just gives a different look. You know, when my brother saw like the first shot that I did with this lens, it was part of the documentary project that I'm working on. And one of the first things he said, he's like, "Oh, did you use like a 1/4 Pro-Lens filter?" I'm like, "No, it's just a lens." So like I didn't really see it like that. I don't think I have that trained eye yet, but but anyway. So moving on to the GI Focus Pro. This is the motor that I'm using, and again, I'm putting this on the right side. Actually, before I put the motor on, I'm actually going to put my lens support on because this is a heavy lens. I don't want that putting too much stress on my lens mount. I'll put that about right there. Now, if I was going to, so I'm actually using the Nucleus Nano on my 6K Pro. So normally I will put that on first and then I will put the lens mount on, but since I don't have it, I'll just keep it like this. Now, even if I'm not using another motor, I still like to have this arm on here. I know some people just grab the rods as like another point of contact. I like having this arm, like I like having that extra handle there. It's just a little bit more comfortable for me. And you know, I guess it's just a personal preference type of thing. So I set my lens to infinity. Then I put the motor on. Snap that on, tighten it up. All right, bam, here we go. All right, so next I'm going to put on the top handle. Actually, now normally I would just put the top handle on, but because I'm using the Focus Pro system, you really want to get this LiDAR as close to the lens as possible. And initially I tried mounting this like right on top of my handle, but it was so high that what the LiDAR was seeing, so this LiDAR has a camera. So what the LiDAR was seeing and what my lens was seeing is two different things because it was just a little too high. And I do think that that was affecting the focusing as well. So what I decided to do instead was just to take the top handle off, put it on one of the mounts on top of the camera. And that made my accuracy a whole lot better because I've seen people mounting it like on the left or like on top of the handle. And yeah, I'm not sure how they're getting like decent results doing it like that, but yeah, anyway. So yeah, I put that on first and then I go ahead and I put my handle on. Now, because I have this lighter right here, I had to remove the bolt that would have been right here, and I'm moving one that's in the back. So I'm saying that because you definitely have to be really careful if you're gonna do it like this. But I mean, the I haven't had an issue. Like, I've been using the system for quite a bit of time now, and I haven't had a single issue with it, so I think it's fine to do it this way. All right, so these bolts take a little bit of time to get in here, so I'm going to pause this video, get this, get all of these screws mounted on my top handle, and I will be right back. All right, so I finally got my top handle all screwed on. Now, you notice I have this extension arm attached to it. I keep this attached, like it's literally glued on here. I never take it off. So for my monitor, I'm actually using the Blackmagic monitor. So really, when I bought this monitor, I was really just looking for the most affordable 3G monitor. Not just 3G, but the most affordable SDI monitors because this camera only has SDI ports. And so, you know, what's crazy is I've had my 6K Pro for a while. Like, I would say that was my first cinema camera, but legit, I feel like this is really like my first cinema camera. Like I was like such a newbie, like when I first got this, like I was looking up like different cords I was gonna need to plug in my female battery. I didn't realize I could just like attach it and that's it. Like I was thinking I was gonna need a cable, kind of how I have to do with my 6K Pro. So yeah, total newbie, but I'm learning. I'm learning here, all right? So anyway. Yeah, so I ended up going with the Blackmagic 3G monitor at the time. It was only like $300 brand new, which was much more affordable than a lot of the used ones. I will say I kind of regret buying this just because when I'm shooting outdoors, I tend to just revert back to my side handle. Um, just because this is only 300 nits and I can barely see. So, I mean, I use it as a reference still, but as far as like if I want to monitor, like if I'm in focus, stuff like that, I ended up just using the on-camera monitor instead. So that is another benefit over the Pixis. All right, but the reason why I purchased a monitor because as you can see, if I was to put this on my shoulder and try to flip this monitor out, yeah, I can't see anything, right? It's too close to my face. And so that was the reason why I was like, all right, I absolutely have to get an external monitor. And I will say that this shoulder mount is way much more comfortable than the Blackmagic shoulder mount. Now, moving on to this top handle, I love this top handle so much just because of all the mounting ports that it has. Now, this is the Blackmagic one that I had originally. As you can see, it only has 3 mounting points. I do love that it has like this soft little cushion inside, but literally like that's it. And what's crazy, I noticed that with the Ursa sign, they introduced the same monitor, only thing is that it has a hot shoe. I'm just like, no, you still failed. But anyway, that's kind of like my my spiel on this top handle. Um, and like I said, it has so many different mounting points. Now, for my mic, I'm using the Sennheiser MKE. I think it's a 400. I'm actually filming with it right now. No, it's the MKE 600. I'm filming with it right now, but just to give you guys an idea of how I actually mount my kit. So if I'm filming by myself, then I'll have my mic on my camera, still recording separately. Like, I do not use internal mics or amps. Just because I just feel like when you record externally, the audio is always going to be better. Like with a recorder versus internally, but that's just my thoughts. So yeah, so when I'm let me do this. So when I'm recording by myself, I use this attachment. All right, I'm just turning this around. So I just attached this to the side of my top handle, and I just put the mic up here. So I'm attaching it through a hot shoe mount, and so that would be like my setup if I was filming by myself. Now, if I was shooting, if I had like a crew or just anyone else just kind of handling the audio for me, basically what I do is I ended up finding this really cool attachment. So it's actually a V-mount belt clip attachment. So basically you attach this to the belt, and then you take your battery and you can mount it here so that you can mount your battery to your belt. So basically the one reason I mentioned that is because I actually power my recorder and my shotgun mic with a separate V-mount battery. And so with my recorder, I'm using the Zoom F3, which I'm actually using right now. So I'll just bring it. So the same way I'm recording right now is the same way I would be recording a location. So as you can see with this recorder, it has these loops. So basically I just have my sound guy attached to its belt, and I'm charging it with this USB-C to USB cable. I'm actually using the cable from, which cable is this? This is from my gimbal. And you do need a cable that's going to be strong enough to handle the signal, because if you just use, I've used like other cables and it didn't work, so FYI. But yeah, so you basically, you take this V-mount and you just snap it like that, and then you can just have both of these on your belt together. So right, yeah, so you have both of those on your belt, and then obviously the sound guy, he'll just hold the mic with, you know, the extension arm or whatever. So that's how I'm doing my audio. I like it when someone else is doing it, but you know, sometimes I have to do it myself. So that's pretty much my setup for that. Now for my SD mount, I found this like little 1/4 to 1/4 screw, and I'm screwing it into this SSD holder from Small Rig. Again, this came with my 6K Pro kit, so I didn't have to buy this, which was nice. So yeah, I pretty much just mount this on the side. Now, although I do have a lot of mounting points on the top of my top handle, I'm using that for other stuff, which I'm going to talk about in a quick second. All right, so this is the mount that I use. All right, bam, that's my battery. Now, if I decide that if I'm using like a smaller setup, sometimes I will just use this piece from Small Rig to mount my monitor, and basically you just kind of put it on the top here like that, and then you can So just like that. It really just kind of depends how I'm holding the rig. Um, so that's that. And now, one of the most important pieces, now I told you guys, I want to go from handheld to tripod. And one of the most important pieces that I'm so glad I purchased is this VC plate. This is Sony VC plate. And on the bottom, I have a Swiss plate. So I can literally just like place it on a tripod very easily. So this essentially stays on my tripod. But what's cool about this is that you'll notice at the bottom of my shoulder rig, I have this V-mount clip, and essentially, you literally just hold on. There we go. But yeah, you literally just place it on there. So when you're placing it on the tripod, you can literally just slide it on, and not even have to think about it. And if you want to take it off, it has this little latch right here. You just push that out and it comes up. So again, oh my God, I did that so horribly, didn't I? Yeah, when you hear that click, that means it's on there. And then when you want to take it off, you just press it this and up and it comes right off. So this is probably one of my most important additions in terms of things I've purchased thus far. Now you're probably thinking to yourself like, man, Jess, like this is a really cool system, but it has to be like super heavy, right? And you're right. So again, like if you're shooting with this, even if you have it on your shoulder rig, after 5 minutes, your back is going to start feeling it. So I ended up purchasing an easy rig and it just floats. So if anybody is wondering, after I mount all of this, I am able to mount this on, I'm able to use this with the Easy Rig Mini Max. You don't necessarily need the Viral 5, and basically how I measure if it's too heavy or not, if you put it up high, let it go. If it's not trying to like weigh down, that means like you haven't reached the maximum weight capacity. So I haven't had any issues even with this huge setup. So if anybody's wondering, you'll be fine. All right, so now let's talk about all the cords. So these are like the main cords that I have to use to get this up and running. So to power my monitor, I'm powering this monitor with my V-mount battery, and I'm using this D-tap cable. I actually have a couple of these, so these come like really handy. Like I just stopped buying I stopped buying like the AA batteries, or like anything that requires like a AA or a Sony battery. Like I just stopped buying it, and I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna use my V-mount batteries. And so that's exactly what I'm doing. All right, and obviously this cable is for my T5. And the USB-C port is actually in that door right there. And then last but not least, we have the SDI cable. Now I turn everything on first, which you probably already know this, but for me, coming from the 6K Pro or HDMI type of setup, I had never used or dealt with SDI cables. So there is like a proper procedure. It's power first, SDI, or if you're getting ready to disengage your battery, it's SDI first, then power. So I think that's pretty easy to remember. So I put this micro part into the SDI in. I have everything turned on already. And then the other one goes. So I'm using the front SDI. Now, when I tried to use the back, it didn't work. And I think it's because this is a 3GI. I mean, a 3G, 3GI. I think it's because this is a 3G monitor. If I was using a 12G monitor, I would I would probably use this back one. So just FYI, just something that I had to figure out on my own. Alrighty. Now, to power your my Focus Pro system, so the first cable. Now, the reason why I even put this on the left side is because you'll notice all the ports for this LiDAR are on the right. So that means, and because these cables are not very long, you're not going to be able to go from here to all the way down here, you know. So yeah, so it's like whatever you kind of need to put everything on the same side as the LiDAR, especially if you're going to have like these use these extension arms, or if you're gonna have to stretch. Like, even if I wasn't using this extension arm on the left side, I was still having trouble trying to mount it on the left. So anyway, so that's why I put this, that's why I put my handles and everything on the left, because it's just easier. Right, and for the LiDAR, you're gonna put it in the first port. I don't think it will work if you put it in the second one. And then for the motor, it doesn't matter which port you put in, you insert. For the motor, it's more so the LiDAR you have to worry about, but you do have to put it in the right port on the handle. So for the LiDAR, it's literally labeled, so you don't have to figure it out. And actually, all right. And then, so for the LiDAR, it's going to go in the port that's on the far right. And then for the motor, it's going to go on the port that's on the left. And bam, like that's literally everything. Of course, you have to power it on. Now, I will say, like, I have a full review that I'm going to do on this LiDAR system, but I just have to say that I really, really love it. Like, I really do. And then the last thing that I do is I like to manage my cables. And I have these little things here. I think they're called sprigs. Oh, I had these a long, long time. I've probably had these for like 3 years. I never really used them, and they're just kind of like all over my place. So, um, I just put them like on my top handle or my base plate. I put one there to manage the cables for my monitor, and then I take the other one and I manage the cables on this side. So I'm just putting them in like this. God, they're plastic, so they are easy to bend and everything like that. But this cable is a little thick. Right, there we go. My goodness, doesn't want to go in. Like, this is no perfect video. Like, look, you're seeing all my flaws. All my flaws, all my shortcomings. Right. So while you're at it, make sure you like and subscribe to my channel. I may have to use one more. I can't get this one in here. Try to stuff them in there. All right, there we go. All right, so I have like all my cords kind of in here, and I just kind of press it in there, and that kind of helps me to like manage it the way I need to. Yeah, and this is pretty much my full rig setup. Oh shoot. So this is my full rig. This is my full rig setup. Um, yeah, I mean it's kind of big, kind of heavy. Um, I've discovered I can put this on a I can put this on a slider, but I do kind of have to rip it down to where I'm pretty much just kind of taking off my base plate. I'm using a smaller battery and everything like that. But yeah, I mean, I can definitely use this on a slider. So I did some test shots, just kind of doing like some opening shots for a project that I'm working on. So yeah, I'm pretty excited. But like yeah, so this is the final product. And this is what I've been using on my project. I went through like so many different things, like like just different lenses and different focusing systems, and like this is, I feel like this is the best system out right now. And what's cool about this, even if I wasn't using the focusing system, let's say I just wanted to shoot manually, what I like about this handle is that I can still stop and start record even if I don't have like these cords plugged in. Like if I'm not even using that LiDAR, I can still start and stop record on my camera on both my 6K Pro, my Ursa. So literally, if your camera has Bluetooth, it's going to work, you know. So I mean, like that was pretty similar to like the Tilta M, you know. So hey, that's pretty cool. And so this is pretty much my setup right here.